Listen, I couldn't punch you even if I tried. You're pretty far away, but like
$3
Panda Express is delicious, bro.
$3 billion, bro.
Yeah. No, Panda Express is, but like that's the thing, right? It's Americanized Asian cuisine.
My grand uncle, who I took care of until he died on the Upper East Side, he grew up with chop suey. So chop suey is not goddamn Chinese. That was American Chinese. Like, you know, people forget that like we brought all the Chinese over here to make most of the railways from Chicago West. And they brought their food, and people are like, I don't understand. This is kind of strange, but I like noodles, you know. And they're like, okay, fine. We'll make you. We'll call it chow fun.
See, I've never really thought about it like that. I've only just ever known Chinese food to be from a Chinese food menu in New Jersey.
Well, no, because remember, there's Chinese, and then there's, you know, Sex and the City Chinese.
Yeah.
Right? Miranda's brown sauce.
And Samantha can't get enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean, there's white dudes who have created entire documentaries of going to China looking for General Tso.
Wow.
You know, I mean...
Like, actual general? No. I don't know. Okay, so
it's
one
orange
question.
Sauce. It's orange sauce.
One last question, because we can go down the rabbit hole that is, you know, Panda Express. But just curious, now that I have you, right? You mentioned that you work with the Trump administration.
So I worked on the Trump campaign, and I got to tell you, that was the most technically advanced campaign I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Obama 08 was technically advanced. Trump 16 was like 10 times that.
How so?
It was fully engaged in social media. It was 360-degree engagement on where voters were. It understood how and when they voted, and it looked at all of the influencers, not just on social, but their neighbors, and it influenced them. Okay? So you all know, I mean, we all know this, that like one woman typically influences like 22 people and a guy maybe 5, right? But what happens if you have a super influencer dude or a super influencer gal? You know, that woman on the PTA or the guy who coaches all, you know, he's the guy who organizes all the soccer clubs. If he goes and starts telling you that, like, listen, I think we got a chance here to do something different, to break the wheel. And that's all Trump did. And that's what people are furious about this. But I'm telling you, the opportunity zone, you know, executive order is going to bring a lot of change to a lot of communities, and these are Black, brown, and Asian communities. You know, places we grew up, because we had the good communities that, you know, we were all, I think, middle class, right? But then, you know, there's the hood community, like we got to get the good food, you know, and you go to like that one joint. And that was kind of our experience in our upbringing. I think the challenge that you have is most white people only understand like this circle and not this circle. And you know,
what's that circle?
This circle is the rednecks.
Okay.
Right. Every culture has their rednecks. You know, or you know that one uncle. You're like he walks around in a sarong and beats the neighbors. You know, this is old Santa Ana, California. You know, I mean, I remember I had this one Muslim sister I know. Her dad was Cham. Those are the Malaysian people, right? And no one messed with her dad. The gang members would be like, "I'm sorry, sir."
Damn.
Right, and Santa Ana used to be the hood.
Yeah.
You know, like it was crazy, and you know now the Gentros are coming in and that sort of stuff. I mean, I just remember I was there with my boy Twee one time, and there was this like Asian girl riding back like this, like laying back, like, and she had that, you know, like Latina pulled back hair. And it looked like she had a gun in her seat. Twee was like locked the door. And I'm like, she's not gonna kill you, bro. but you know, this is the America that I think people have lost inside of all this social media culture, because it's white, black, white privilege and anti-blackness. And I'm like, hi, we're over here. There's lots of us. Kind of forgot. And then, you know, I got some girl yelled at me the other day. She's like, well, brown people can be anti-black. And I'm like, if you do not understand us as Americans inside of a conversation together, and you can look at my Twitter timeline, it's there. As a conversation together, we're screwed. Because all we keep doing is pushing into academia the anti-blockchain ideas, which is, you know, I am this village, screw your people in your village. My people are going to tell your people how your people live. It's all this postmodernism. And that's what got us here in the first place, right? It was a bunch of Europeans being like, oh, your people are interesting. I will call that poi.
Too interesting.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, what's that like, though? I guess you're right. Right now, what's happening in America, people are just going by what they see, and what they see when they see you is they see someone that's brown working with and for Trump. I mean, has that been a challenge for you with your professional
I
and
get
personal
so
life?
much hate.
For real?
But you know, the push that I'm telling everyone is this: I represent an inner city. I work in an inner city area. I'm the only dude who's going into these inner city schools and talking to 10th graders about opportunities in blockchain, opportunities in gaming. I'm one of the few people who's working with CUNY to put blockchain courses in a historically black college. Okay, it's this same idiom that's a lot of people in America, and they've signed on for the Trump train because he realizes that there's a whole bunch of us, and we'll do that in our local markets. All he has to do is bring money in, right? And this really shouldn't be a Democrat-Republican thing, but what it really comes down to is it's like, look, locally, we've had Democrats for a long period of time, and they've had cronyism, and the cronyism is to keep people in power and to keep people making money off of it. But it's like you're cutting up one piece of bread to share crumbs with people,
Sure.
when you can have loaves of bread coming in from all this money. And if we retrain our local communities, you know, I mean, it's like, look, there's Asian folks, there's Southeast Asian folks, there's Arab folks, there's black folks that they only get to hear because all they know is I could be a cleaner, I could work for the MTA, I could get these types of jobs, but you have this new layer of opportunity, and it's like, look, run through an 18-month course, go and get trained to code, you know, in frigging Python.
Sure.
And
I mean, the
Python.
resources are available.
And you can
everywhere.
get a big data job,
Yeah.
all of a sudden paying like $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ceiling for most of them, and that's why they stay in the hood. $40,000, you're doing good. You know, I've heard sisters, you know, all different persuasions brag about making $23,000, $25,000 a year, and this is in New York. And I'm like, you know, that's not a living wage. And it's not about raising minimum wage. I think what it is about increasing that opportunity, because it comes down to what I said before. One tech job, 5 service jobs, right? That's what needs to kind of come in. And if we continue to do that, I think, look, it's everything I just said about the blockchain and this internet revolution and what's coming. All this stuff is going to allow us to radically change. But it's not just us. We got to compete against China.
Sure.
We have to compete against
Automation.
not Europe,
Ourselves.
because Europe's just kind of like, I don't like it, I'm gonna burn everything.
Sure.
But we
you
do
bring
have
up
to
good
compete
points.
against Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, Africa is building fresh cities. They're like looking over here. They're like, ah, yes, I will put a mega city
We shall
there.
spin this up. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and they're like
It's crazy.
running bullet trains into
It's
it.
crazy, yeah. It's interesting because the Davos conference just happened. And by the way, we're like way over, but I just wanted to. I feel like your insight has been super interesting. They brought up in the Davos conference like automation is going to basically replace, I believe, 80%.
80% of traditional
within
jobs.
15 years, exactly. So another challenge that I'm starting to kind of recognize is that we need to reposition and repurpose a lot of what people are doing now because it's going to be irrelevant in 15 years.
Well, if
So
you, if
how do
you
you teach
if
them
you
how
had
to code?
automated buses, could you imagine what the impact would be to every single
Just
city? I mean, the number of people that count in these types of jobs and pension programs and all that pension money is going to go away, right?
Yeah.
All these, you know, like I would say the last thing that we got to look at is that government downsizing. If automation comes into that level, this stuff's not tenable anymore. Having 800,000 people with that much of an expenditure isn't tenable, right? So what does that mean? That means if 80% of the jobs in the regular workforce go, what happens to government? And I mean, like Trump, don't like Trump, I don't care. He makes some important points about the fact that we really need to change. We need to break everything, and we need to rebuild it.